Welcome everyone to the Hurley Investments Financial Services Commentary for Tuesday, the 1st of May. If I was to ask the group a question, what do you want to talk about today? There are two things that come to mind. But if I was to ask you what you'd like to talk about, tell me. What do you want to talk about today? Because I'm going to talk about two things. Let's see if you guess or can comment on either one. What would you like to talk about today? Both Mary and Lance typed in really quickly, Apple, 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 Apple. And that's followed by Bubble. What are the best opportunities? I wish I could tell you guys exactly what the best opportunities are, but let's talk about Apple, because out of curiosity, is Apple going to affect the market tomorrow? Will Apple affect the earnings tomorrow? And Abraham, I'll hit that one here in a bit. Of course they are, right? Yes, there you go. You guys are typing it in. Of course Apple's going to affect tomorrow in our stock market. So let's do a quick review. Apple 273 versus an estimated 267 earnings per share. They made 61.1 billion versus an estimate 60.82. Can anyone make a comment on why Apple thought they were going to have less than expected earnings? I'll be honest with you, I went through stuff over the last week and I was definitely concerned about Apple. Apple had me scared. There you go. The iPhone 10 or the iPhone X, definitely a worry. A worry to the point that a worry to a point of what's going to happen, what's going to push it. Will it have the earnings? Kind of funny because in all honesty, I've made better money on Baidu and Visa than I have on Apple. Guidance. Let's see if I can't type it in where I want to type in. Guidance. I can't spell. I have an extra I in there. Guidance is 51.5 to 53.5 billion versus an estimated 51.61. So Tim Cook gave extra guidance. 100 billion new buyback because they already have returned to shareholders, right? 275 of the 300 billion they've committed. Increase in dividends. Wasn't the one-time special dividend, but an increase in dividends of 16% to a whopping 73 cents per share. Now, I'm sorry, but I'm disappointed that Apple isn't more in that 4% range since they can afford it. If I take 73 cents and I divide it by $174, that's a paltry 0.4% dividend, which is absolutely pathetic. Oh, 267 $8.2 billion cash reserve. Not a bad amount. I'd like some of that. Let's see. They did 52.2 billion iPhones versus an estimated 52.54. So out of curiosity, what does this tell you? Let's go through the iPhone number. What does this tell you about the iPhones? And I'm throwing it out. There's no right answer. There you go. That they make a lot of them, of course, but I want to be more specific. Estimated they're supposed to sell 52.54 million iPhones. What is it that they can still there? So I'm going to jump on that. David just said so they can still sell a lot of iPhones, and Mary said a lot of iPhones were sold. What it tells me is all those dang analysts that are telling you how bad their iPhone sales are really don't have a clue. They're off. They're off significantly. There are some estimates down at iPhone sales to be in the low 40 million range. The fact that here we are with iPhone sales, missing by what? 40,000? They don't have a clue what they're talking about. I don't know. Makes you wonder if they kind of, and I don't know how to say this exactly, but it makes me wonder if the analysts for their businesses purposely made the iPhone sale numbers lower, right? Put them down lower so that they can go ahead and buy Apple at a cheaper price. No way to prove it, but obviously that some of them has missed by so much, and it did drive the iPhone price or Apple down for a while. Makes me wonder if they put those scare out there for the iPhones to literally drive the price down so their own companies can buy it back. Income. Oops, sorry. Income. Boy, I'd like this income. Up to 13.82 billion versus an estimated. Then from last year, right? From year over year. That was 11.03. Services, really big section, up 9.19 versus an estimated 8.39. They only missed that by 800 million. 9.1 million iPads sold versus an estimated iPads versus an estimated 9.17 million. So they were close. 4.08 Max sold versus an estimated 4.14. And the HomePod, pretty interesting. HomePod sales, or revenue, excuse me. Revenue was 3.9 billion, I believe, versus an estimated 3.7 billion. What else do I have here? Wearables, up 50%. So here we are, worried about that iWatch, right? And one other last figure I have here, iPhone average selling price was $728 versus an estimated $742. So what does that mean? If they're selling it for a little bit more less, what does that mean? What does that mean? That's right. Margin compression, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say slight margin compression. But boy, they still sell their iPhones for a lot of money. Right now, futures are up, and futures will probably build overnight. We'll see what happens tomorrow, but Apple, a bellwether stock, has really moved the needle and moved it quite nicely, if you were to ask me. Up they go. Apple's moving. Any questions about Apple that I can answer for you right now? Yes, I think I've got through accounts. Don't quote me on this. 59, another 3. I probably have about 8,000 shares of Apple through accounts, and had long puts on short-term long puts for May at 170. What is their plan B, Abraham? There is no plan B. They've done a poor job of picking up new companies that seem to matter. They had the opportunity for Netflix. They had some opportunities for Hulu. What companies they are picking up, I hope, is going to be helpful for their parts, that they're building up their supply chain by buying the competition up. But I do not know. I haven't understood why they're spending their money and where it's gone to, other than they pretty much, for all intents and purposes, have shut down their automatic driving or their artificial intelligence driving programs and so forth. Now, comments made, what do you think about Ford's policy change? It's interesting that Ford is shedding its medium-sized cars. And when someone asked, what do I think about that? I think it's a risky venture because it seems to be a cycle in the automobiles. If we were to go through what's happening this week and why, if I went to our economic reports, construction spending came in at a negative 1.7 versus an estimated 0.5. That's a big miss. ISM index came in at 57.3 versus an estimated 58.3. That is also a miss. Autos came in at 3.9 million versus the expected, or last month 4.10. But the issue is, right, Ford wants to move to trucks, higher oil prices. Trucks came in at 92.28 million for the year end versus last month where it was said to be at around 9.64 million trucks at the end. So it's a cycle. If you see higher oil prices, gasoline prices, why not expect people to start looking at cheaper cars that don't cost nearly as much to fill up? I filled up my truck. It was $100 the other day. Watched my parents fill up their Honda Pilot, and it cost them $38. Yeah, they can only go 360 miles. I can go 460, but it was significantly cheaper for my parents to fill up their Honda Pilot than it is to fill up my big Ford truck. I think it's a wide move. Smaller vehicles will be rented for use in the future with lower pollution production. Large ones are more protected than the Wave. Abraham's right. Obviously, the truck sales here in America are big. We like bigger and better for all intents and purposes. If you have the money, you don't care too much about spending the money on gas. It's a cycle, though, and Ford's cycle is going to be interesting to see. Another question was brought up on earnings. Earnings does move the markets. It's supposed to move the markets. It maybe hasn't as much as we've expected this earnings cycle. For those that wanted to say, oh, the taxes was built in, well, it was built in January. It gave it all back, so I would dare say it's not all built in. But earnings, and I showed you last week or 2 weeks ago, when I go to earnings, I just go to briefing. And remember, out of all the earnings that happened today, I go through and my earnings is going to have Aetna in there, where I'm going to see where Aetna finishes up. And I'll write a little plus or negative if they beat or missed earnings, and then an arrow that goes up or down just to tell you if, where they're going to go. Cummings, I'll pay attention to Cummings because I'm interested in the automotive section. I'll go through EMR, so I'm going to pay attention to Emerson. I will pay attention to Grubhub just because it's one that I've seen and heard. I don't randomly just put all these in here though. JCI, Johnson Controls, I'll spend a little time with that because I've got a friend that works there that I give a little bit of help for his 401k. 3L used to be a bellwether, or L3, excuse me. I'll pay attention to what happens there. Merck, I'll pay attention to the pharmaceuticals because I have the IBB in a doctor's account. Pfizer for the same reason. Denny's because, believe it or not, I've eaten there since college. Not the best food, but I do pay attention to it. I'll pay attention to Under Armour because obviously I trade Under Armour. I have Under Armour in accounts. Let's see. Devon Energy was in here. There they are, probably after the market. There's Denny's. There's Devon Energy. I do pay attention to energy to see if I should be moving into that. Juniper there. Yeah, I will pay attention to that. Genworth Financial. They're now down to like a single A or triple B. They hold my life insurance policy. Snap I'll pay attention to. T-Mobile I'll pay attention to because T-Mobile is buying my Sprint. So I want to pay attention to T-Mobile to see not only they obviously beat, everything should probably beat earnings, but I pay attention to how they were after market hours. And again, I just write a little plus, a little negative, and Apple, obviously. When I create my lists that I give to you, these lists are created from what I'm willing to spend time paying attention to. So I don't just randomly pick these. They're ones that I'm going to find out how important it is for me, my portfolio. I'm going to spend the time going through these and putting a little, literally in my planner. I'll do something like, well, let me go to Apple really quick. So in my planner, I'd write a plus, and I'd say that the stock is going up at least after hours. I'd have to write a plus for Under Armour, beat, and then they went down today. So they're just little things that I spend my time doing, paying attention to these stocks. Again, I don't randomly throw them out here. Anything that you have here, I'm going to pay attention to what the earnings were. I'm going to research it, maybe after the market closes to see. And I won't spend too much time, maybe 10, 15 minutes on each one. But I want to see if they beat their earnings. I'm going to check some of the news. I'm going to see how they reacted to the day. It's my intention not just to randomly throw a bunch of these stocks in here, but I pay attention to how they affect some other stocks that I'm in, how they affect sectors that I'm in, new sectors I may want to be looking for. My earnings or the companies that I put in here require me to do some work on them. So that's why I try to put as little as possible in there. Question came in. I think it's a wise move, smaller vehicles. Ooh, I already went through that one. Where's the other question at? Came in the chat. Kevin, I think Apple has some upward movement. There is a price target of over 200. So yes, Lance, that is correct. I would think there's a price target of over 200 on Apple, but it was based on repatriation. And I'm kind of thinking, I'm shaking my head back and forth. I haven't seen the repatriation comments yet. I haven't read through Apple's earnings. So I go to, what do I go to? I go to, where am I going to go to it? I will go to finance. Oh, I get a little buzz in here. Where would I get it? Let me tell you what I go to. I'm signed up for, I sent it to my Gmail account. Seeking Alpha. So Seeking Alpha gives me a lot in regards to, it gives me a lot in regards to what I see on their earnings. I want to read the earnings report. I'll sift through it and I'll find out. So I will have Apple's information here shortly. And all the ones that I trade, I go through and I read through it. So that is some of my preparation on my work that I do on earnings, because typically earnings moves markets. Now, it's not right now, because if you ask me where our market's going to end this week, I'm going to go higher. But looking at our charts, right, we're kind of in no man's land. We are still technically bearish. But notice how we're bearish, and down here on the MACD, we have the lines sitting on top of each other. Can't get above the 50. Anytime I get those lines sitting on top of each other, I go back to I will typically add back into it the Williams %R. It's what I used to use forever ago. And if I was to look at the Williams %R and update the Dow, when I don't have a clear indicator, I see we're probably going to hit the bottom and head higher. It does show a possible day that we're going to head down. If we were to look at the SPX, it is still bearish, but man, is it touching on the RSI on top of each other. We're in no man's land. Actually, I don't know what's going to happen to our markets. We're caught right in between the 50-day and the 200-day, and we haven't had a push out of it. In fact, if you ask Michael Verdon or myself, technology seems to be the place to be. Technology, even though the chart looks exactly the same way, technology just seems to be taking advantage of the tax breaks. So because of that, technology is where we see some profits. Did Visa finish higher today? I have to look at my Visa chart. Visa's going to fight MasterCard here on Thursday. Go Visa, go. For crying out loud, that's a hammer. It's creating a hammer look today. It is. Come on. Got that blocking me there. I like the Visa chart. Go Visa, but it is in that overbought territory on the Willings percent R. Awfully close on the RSI. Getting to new highs. 135 will probably be the stop on Visa. All righty, let me keep going through what I have for today. So Dow Jones still technically bearish. S&P still technically bearish, does not have its crossovers. It's obviously trading in a range right now. And you got to say the same thing about the NASDAQ. Not good signs coming into the sell in May go away. I do think May will end up negative. I'm going to stay down 2% again. We did eke out a small gain in April, saved us in the last week. A lot of earnings coming up. I'll let you guys sort through those. But really, the biggest moves will be tomorrow. Nothing will happen in the market until after 12:15 Mountain Standard Time. I think it's 2:15 Eastern Standard Time, as we hear that they're not going to raise rates. They may be more hawkish in their verbiage, which Powell has already indicated. I do think if they're any more hawkish, we're going to see an inverted yield curve. Go back 2 weeks where I discussed about that online, where all of a sudden you've got your number one 100% right precursor to a recession. Thursday, ISM services will be important since the ISM index did not come in where we wanted to see it. We also have on Friday the average work week reports, which will be pretty important in my opinion. Internationally, not much is happening internationally. The only thing that I should add in there is, it'll come in tonight. So tonight we'll have China's PMI manufacturing index. Might change or move the futures for tomorrow, but you heard Cook talk about the expectation that we'll sort things out with China. Trump also has postponed tariffs for a little bit longer, so we'll see what happens there. How am I looking to trade? It's earnings, so I'm just trading earnings right now. There are some, obviously, that you can now take out of here. Bank of America and Baidu are done. Disney's my next big one. If I go ahead and I'm going to pull all these out. Zions Bank did great. They're on the upside. Visa did great. They're on the upside. Altria did not do well. CarMax did not do well. Freeport McMoran did horrible. Facebook did pretty good. Big pop up. Ford did pretty good. So I do have less that's on my radar, less research that I have to do. Went and saw it today. Affinity War shatters all the records. Again, another billion-dollar movie. And don't forget that, plain and simple, Disney kind of takes it to the movie theaters. They're usually in that 60%, not a 50-50 split. So they get 60 cents on the dollar for a ticket sold. You also will see on the Star Wars, I think they went as high as 70 cents. They really stuck it to the movie theaters. I have an interesting article here on Visa's next stop is going to be the 135. Really good information on their earnings, and they did everything right. Unbelievable how good they did. Very important to read through this if you trade Visa. And I just found an interesting article of 4 best athlete traits that they share in sports. I think these also help and work for trading. Having humility, daily feedback. They start each day at day 0 and have an essential appetite for learning. Pretty important things that I think can help you as a trader. That's also helped me, obviously, as a money manager. So I'm out here in Houston. Any comments or questions that you guys would like to go over tonight? It was asked last, actually, let me go through. There's a couple questions asked. Opportunities, I think there's still an opportunity to get into Apple, Disney, and Visa. Some of these are post earnings. Zions Bank is a great bank to get into. Bank of America still haven't moved like it used to. It might wait till the end of the year till it has its big move. I am looking at doing some longer term covered calls, generating some type of premium to get me through the summer doldrums. Bubble, I don't think we're in a bubble right now, Abraham. I don't see any bubble type. I don't see any bubble type projections fundamentally. We're out of homes, yet homes are starting to slow down because of the interest rate hike. We've gotten spoiled is the short answer there. Ford policy change, I think we've done. Don't they have a monopoly on Apple fans money? Not sure what you went there. All right, guys, give me some questions you have. Any questions you have going into the going into next week or the rest of this week and the next week? Really, I think Apple matters tomorrow. Let's see if Apple can push the market higher. Let's see if Apple can hold its gains. Maybe not sure if they're going to or not, but we will definitely see. All right, hey, if there are no other questions, there we go. How do you look at Amazon and Alibaba? So Amazon, I'm looking, well, I'm not looking at either one. In fact, if you were to say Amazon and Alibaba, I would say Google and Baidu. I don't pay attention to either one. Alibaba, I think, is overpriced right now, whereas I do not think so with Baidu. Amazon, the fundamentals don't justify its price, where I think Google's are. So I recently entered into a 900, 950. I'm just a 940, 950. A 940, 950 in the money bull call on Google, on Alphabet, Googl. It's a rather expensive, but it gives me $91 investment. So yeah, I did do I think I did an 850, 950 bull call, and it cost me $91 where I can make $8.77 on it. Alibaba I don't pay attention to, but I also right now have a bull put, a 230, 245 bull put on Baidu, and that's really stressed me right now because twice it's fallen below the 250 and bounced up above it. So I have a bull put. I will most likely be closing tomorrow, taking my profits on the bull put and getting out of it. But I don't look at either Amazon or Alibaba. Don't look at Amazon because the fundamentals and earnings don't justify its price. I don't look at Alibaba because the valuations are so out of whack. When I see Amazon and Bob, I trade those for Google and Baidu. Good question, Abraham, and hopefully I've answered that for you. And why I do or I don't trade them. All right, any other questions? Where do I think Baidu is going to go to? Well, I'm trying to get Baidu back up to its previous highs. So if you ask me what I see in Baidu, been kind of scary, but I would suggest Baidu's next stop is going to be 270. 270 is where I see Baidu kind of topping out at. I went to a 245 for $4 of credit. I guess it was $3 of credit. And the reason I went to $3 of credit is because when I put it on, the 50-day was sitting at 241.91. And so that even if it fell down and it touched the 50-day and that acted as support, I wouldn't technically lose any money if I can sit in this till the May expiration. So I still have, 3 weeks to go, 2.5 weeks to go till my Baidu bull puts expire. If I can get a profit for them, though, I'm probably going to get out if we get an update tomorrow. Looks like 255 may be a bit of resistance for Baidu. So good comment there, Lance, or good question. Any other questions? What I think of Apple pricing? Well, I don't know. Apple is so hard to like and dislike at the same time. I would go around number at 200. They've already been up as high as 183.50 intraday. I don't know. The short answer is I don't know. We're going to make new highs. We've been on a lower highs, lower lows. It looks like that trend line will be broken if they open up where they are trading right now. Right now, after market hours and so forth, it looks like Apple's trading at, Dow futures just went negative, S&P futures went negative, NASDAQs are still up, and Apple extended hours is up 615. So if they open up at 175, they're going to break this trend. And they also will break above the, looks like they'll break above the 50-day, which is at 172.53. So with that said, they've got to break 183.50, kind of a roundish number there, and 200 is probably the top side. But really, they have to make more comments on what they're going to do with the money they're going to bring over. So if you ask me, I would say maybe by next earnings you might see 200. But you've got to break the 180. You got to break the 50-day simple moving average. You also have to break the 183.50. And there also has to be some more comments mentioned about what they will do with their money. So that's what I see right there, and that's how I would look at Apple going in the future. All right. If there are no other questions or comments, guys, have a wonderful evening. Appreciate you being here. Nice group of people. Looks like we got about 17 here today. Guys, do take care. If there's any other questions you have that I have not answered for you today, please go ahead and go to Hurley at hurleyinvestments.com, and I'll do the best I can to do some research and get that presented to you. You guys take care. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll look forward to talking to you next week. Bye-bye, everyone.